Hello and welcome to our show for this week. I'm Joshua Weisner and this is my brother.
I'm Joseph Weisner.
This week we're gonna have a little more of a story time rather than give our opinion on something.
Mm-hmm.
The story that we're gonna tell, it's a story from when we were in high school, or not? We were in high school, I guess.
Yeah.
At the time.
No, wait. Yes.
Yeah, we were in high school. But
Yes,
I was just getting in high school. You were more older high school because you're older than me.
Yeah.
So, or maybe you were just getting in high school. I wasn't in high school yet.
I was. You were in high school. You weren't at VBS.
It was sometime in our teen years. Let's just say that. Okay.
Roughly. Okay, I'm gonna give a rough estimate. I was in either somewhere 9th, 10th, or 11th grade. You were probably in maybe 6th, 7th, or 8th. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Because you're 2 years behind me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
2 grades behind
years
me. Two grades behind me, yes. Or you were. Whatever.
And what we're going to be talking about is something that happened. We decided to go over to a friend's house one night, and there was two friends. We were going to spend the night at their house, and then another friend was going to come there too. So it was going to be kind of four of us that were there. Now, me and Joseph, we're pretty close in age, and we've had a lot of the same friends.
Yeah, 2 years, as we've established already.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like we hung out with a lot of the same people. We still do. And
I mean, if we have mutual friends, we're gonna both hang out with them. It's rare for us to have friends that we both know that only one of us are friends with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this day we decided to this one friend who went over to their house. This was kind of later in the day. We've been there for a while.
Yeah.
So I remember
they were kind of a richer family.
They had some land.
They had some land and they had some money because
they had 4-wheelers. But before we get into that, we've been there for a couple hours at this point, and none of us had like shoes on. I don't think.
That's true. Most of the time we just go around barefoot.
We were very like dirty, sweaty. We had been doing a lot of stuff. This is back when we made a film. We make short films and stuff.
Well, when we were younger, we just would get our camera out and just create really anything. So this was our first camera.
It was actually like that day we filmed probably something, and then we're done filming. Let's just go on the 4-wheelers and just drive them, have fun.
Yeah.
So what we did, we're like, let's play Follow the Leader. This is from my perspective. We're gonna play Follow the Leader, and we're gonna follow each other in the 4-wheeler.
Okay, but first you got to back up first. This family, we were friends with their son Jake, and then we had another friend there that was Tim, right? And a couple of our good friends when we were younger. We're still friends with them, obviously. We just don't see them as much, but this family had 4-wheelers. Just because they had a lot of land, they had a couple people in their family, and so the best way to enjoy the property is to get around it easily. And so they had a 4-wheeler for almost every member that was living in the household. So obviously that's going to be invitation for us to be like, let's go, everyone have their own 4-wheeler and let's just go 4-wheeling. Because there's very limited opportunity for us to ride 4-wheelers.
Yeah.
Very limited. So yes, we were out having a good time, seeing how fast we can go, seeing how quick we could take turns without toppling over, and just having a good time as teenage, high school, close to high school kind of guys. Really. Yeah. So
I'm going to give my perspective, and then you can give your perspective on the actual incident, what happened.
Okay.
Now, we were playing Follow the Leader, like I said before, but everybody had their turn being the leader, and then it was my turn to be the leader. So I got up front, and everybody's following me, and for some reason, the person behind me, which that was Tim, our friend Tim. He decides, I want to be the leader. I guess. I mean, this is what I thought.
Most likely,
He's
that's
like,
what he was thinking.
I'm going to be the leader. So he comes up. I'm going, and he comes up beside me. But I didn't know he was coming up beside me, so I made a sharp turn to the side that he was coming up beside me. And he was coming up, and I turned right into him, not knowing that he was coming behind me. That's also kind of my blind spot. So I turned right into him. And
hold on. Okay, before you tell the details, I need to give you before you tell the details of what happened, I need to give them my perspective of that collision, because there was a collision that happened.
Yeah.
Definitely a collision. So obviously we all know four-wheelers are relatively dangerous. So this is pretty much, I'm just sticking back. I'm like, okay, we're being a little reckless, but being a little reckless is where you have the most fun. So I'm not trying to compete or anything. I'm not trying to get too close to these other guys, but obviously Tim, if you know Tim, he's going to be the one. He's going to be like, all right, I don't care. I'm going to try to get in front, or I'm going to be the leader, or I'm going to do something that's going to bring this to the next level. Usually that's what he does, which is fine. It's why we love him so much. But this collision that happened, since Josh was in the front, Tim came up, and Joshua just didn't see him. I guess you didn't see him.
Yeah, I did.
So you turned, and Tim's coming up next to you. So all of a sudden there was a meeting point, and once that meeting point happened, all I saw was dust started going everywhere. I don't know what was happening that caused so much dust. But
we were in a big field.
It was a big field, and there was grass and dry dirt and everything. So there was just, all of a sudden, dust was everywhere. All I could see was a four-wheeler kind of off to the side, still upright, and then another four-wheeler that is turned sideways from my perspective. I was behind them. So the four-wheeler is sideways, but it's not just like moving or skidding, it's rolling. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the four-wheeler, the tires are up, it goes over. Then once again, the tires are up again, and it's rolling sideways. It's turned sideways and it's rolling. The other one isn't moving a whole lot. So obviously, it's a pretty big crash. There's a four-wheeler toppling over multiple times. And with that much weight, that's a scary thing. These aren't the mini four-wheelers. These are full-size four-wheelers. Mm. So, okay, going from that, there was toppling. What, from your perspective, what happened there? Since you were in the middle of all that.
I mean, I was in the middle of it, so I don't know what the other four-wheeler did, but my four-wheeler was the one that I turned into Tim, and it just automatically stopped. It just stopped moving. But I was going so fast at that point. I don't know how fast I was going. Probably
like 30 to 40, maybe.
30 to 40,
It was pretty quick.
So,
which is dangerous.
It just came to a complete stop, and not being any seatbelts, I just went off the four-wheeler as fast as I can. Now, I have to say, we were wearing helmets, so
that was a good move.
Nothing to my head could happen, but I just went flying forward.
Because your four-wheeler stopped.
All I remember was just, like, hitting the ground and just, like, skidding a bit, and then getting up, and I don't know what's happening with the other four-wheeler, because I just was dealing with myself right now, but I could stand, and I was good with that.
So you're like, okay, at this moment, you stood,
and
everything might be okay?
Everything right? I mean, I didn't feel good because I just got into a wreck, but everything, I stood up and I could stand, but then as I stand, I'm like checking myself out, and as soon as I lift up my arm right here, it just, it was like
it was snapped.
Like a soggy noodle.
Like a soggy noodle in the middle of your arm.
It just was
in the middle.
It just drooped down.
It went and it just fell. It was like a perfect L. It wasn't even sort of hanging down like it was holding on. Those bones just were snapped. I mean, they were just it didn't break skin. Those kind of breaks, they would normally break skin. Yours wasn't broken. It was just like your arm looked like a freshly cooked noodle. It was. And so, my perspective, okay, obviously I see the four-wheeler turning over. It was a little bit of dusk, It wasn't dark or anything, but it was dusk, so the four-wheeler lights were on. So in all that dust, I see the biggest thing outside of the tires. I see the headlights on the front of Tim's four-wheeler shining off to the side, and And so I see those headlights doing their spin sideways through the dust, like, it amplifies it. So it was a pretty dramatic scene from my point of view. So obviously, when after the four-wheeler stopped moving, I couldn't see everything quite clear yet because the dust was still there. And so all I knew, I saw a four-wheeler, and once the dust started clearing and I saw the four-wheeler stop moving, pretty much, Tim's four-wheeler had flipped over multiple times and landed back on its four wheels and was just kind of coasting a little bit, coming to a stop or whatever. Tim wasn't on there anymore. I don't know where Tim was at. But I didn't see Joshua on his four-wheeler either. But if my memory serves me correct, I didn't see you fly off the four-wheeler. All I can remember seeing is your four-wheeler stopped, and I'm assuming that he was on the other side of his four-wheeler. And I for some reason, I just assumed, based on the drama that I saw happening, that Tim was in a lot worse shape than you. And so I ran up, and I was running through the fog. All of a sudden, it's starting to clear. I got off my four-wheeler.
But dust.
Dust, yes. I got off my four-wheeler. I run into the dust. I see Tim's moving, and then I look down, and I see Tim curled up on a ball. He had his helmet on. And I got down, and I looked. He has a crack in his helmet that's pretty big. So I'm like, dang it, this guy's got brain damage. I mean, his head must be split open. So I was like, Tim, are you all right? He didn't answer me at first. He's just sort of curled up in a ball. He's probably stunned. I don't know what happened. But he just didn't answer. And then all of a sudden, he like started moving, and he looked up at me and whatnot. And I was like, is your head okay? And I tried to help him get his helmet off, and he just reached up and got his helmet off. I didn't see any blood, and I'm like, okay, perhaps the helmet, saved his head. And then all of a sudden, I hear from behind me.
No, I do remember this.
I remember from behind me, my brother Joshua just saying, guys, my arm is broken. And I was like, how does he know his arm's broken? It probably just hurts, right? Like I haven't seen my brother yet because I thought Tim might be dead. And so I was like, his arm's broken. Maybe he knows it might be bad enough that he knows it's broken. So Jake was just kind of standing back there just watching it happen. He got off his four-wheeler. So I screamed at Jake and I think I scared him a little. I told him to get over here with Tim because I don't know if Tim's in bad shape. But I needed to go check out my brother because I don't know what Jake's going to do. Jake wasn't going to you.
I remember saying, guys, my arm is broken. But then everything was like, I remember like, okay, now I need to leave. I need to go get this fixed. I didn't deal with him because I'm like, he might be hurt, but I need to deal with myself almost at that point. Which, I mean, that's selfish, but I had an arm that was basically a noodle at this point. So at this point, I just started walking. I remember... Because we were a good ways away from their house. I just started walking towards their house.
Yeah, and he not going to get back on the four-wheeler or anything. He just started walking. I mean, it's probably half a mile walk to the house. So just big cow fields. We could see the house in the distance, but we'd have to walk to it, right? So what did you do at that point? Okay, I remember I just started walking. I yelled at Jake, get over here with Tim. I don't know if Tim's hurt yet. All I know is his head's not bleeding. His helmet's cracked. So I was like, get over here with Tim. I then turn... and see my brother standing there. He's not holding his arm up like this. He has his other hand holding the back, holding right above the elbow, and at the front of his hand, right here, his arm's just drooping. So he's holding his arm up, and his arm is just a noodle. And I've never seen a broken bone that bad. I've barely seen broken bones at all. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, what's happened to his arm? And then all of a sudden it registered. I'm like, his bones have completely broken. And his arm is sideways. And I freaked out. Like, I tried to remain calm, but I freaked out. Like, seeing your arm like that does something to you.
It's like one of those things where someone sees it and instantly they turn and they just...
Exactly. I felt like puking. Now, my body naturally resists puking, but I felt like I wanted to puke because it took me so much by surprise. I'm like, yeah, he's right. His arm is broken.
Yeah, I'm
so right. After that, when I told Jake to get over to Tim, I went straight to you, and I walked with you back up to the house. I don't know what happened with Jake and Tim at that point. I heard that they got up to the house as well, and they got the Jake's stepdad to take him to the hospital, I believe. But what we did is
I
we
want to tell
walked
this
up.
part because I remember I was like, I'm just gonna go up to the house, and the first thing
You don't remember that I was with you. You remember
Yeah.
I was with you. You don't remember the details of that because you were in shock.
I literally was like, guys, my arm's broken. Turn, go to the house.
You don't
That's what
remember
it
that you were
was.
just standing there holding it, looking at me for a second before, like, I came over to you before you started walking away. So you probably were oblivious to me even being interacting with you.
But walking up to the house, all I could think was, I need to get this fixed. But the worst thing was, I was gonna have to tell Jake's mom that I broke my arm, and
on the four-wheelers.
Yeah, this was
because there's a wreck.
The worst thing.
Also, they told us don't go like over 10 or 20 miles an hour. We were clearly going like easy 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, we were going fast.
We were going fast, and there was a wreck because we were being reckless. Definitely.
So I remember just walking into their house, and I don't know if it was me or you, but I remember someone said they were sitting on the couch, and I walked in, and I was like, holding my arm, mind you. I'm like, I broke my arm. That's all somebody said. I don't know if it was you or I said Joshua broke his arm. I don't know if somebody said that.
I think I said it, but because I was nervous. I told you, I was like, I'm gonna tell Jake's mom. I'm gonna tell her that you got your arm broken. Just let me handle it. You just try to don't pass out. Like don't lose yourself. And so I walk in, and they're like, I think they're getting dinner or something because it was like dusk time. And so I was like, hi, my brother has broken his arm. And she like, what? And I was like, there's a four-wheeler accident and my brother has broken his arm. So he walks in the room, or he's behind me, he steps forward, and she sees the noodle arm, and she didn't freak out. She was in the military, and so she's seen some rough stuff, but she didn't freak out right away. But you could tell that she was in panic mode a little bit, because
she probably was also worried. She's like, I'm gonna be in trouble for letting these boys ride the four-wheeler, and he broke his arm.
Exactly, yeah. And so she starts like figuring out. We're like, okay, you and me and your brother, we're gonna go to the hospital right now. And then we said, I think Jake and Tim are back there, and I don't think either of them have broken bones or anything, but they're probably coming up right behind them. I think that's when Jake's stepdad went out and was trying to figure out what was going on with them. We didn't see Tim and Jake. Once I yelled at Jake, I didn't see them again that day.
Yeah.
I mean, they also went to a hospital, but they went to a completely different hospital. But they, I didn't see him. So we just took you to the hospital, and we actually had to take you to an emergency clinic, and then we took you to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it took, I think that you were in the hospital for a while, like probably, it was overnight, because it was at night when it happened. Yeah. So we didn't get out there till early morning. And yeah, so that's
kind of how it ended, all that.
Yeah.
But it was crazy.
Turns out
all those things.
Tim cracked his leg. I don't think it was broken, but he cracked a bone in his leg, and so he was on walkers for a little bit. Wasn't nearly as bad as Joshua, but that he had a little bit of a leg injury. So his head was fine. Hey, moral of the story though, wear helmets.
That is true. The helmet
wear helmets.
Save us a lot.
Saved Tim's life, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the four-wheeler was rolling over him. So yeah, that's the story of Joshua breaking his arm.
So that's just a little story time for you. So if you want to hear more stories of us, or just us talking about things, our opinions, then subscribe to this channel, or you could go to any of our social medias like Instagram, Facebook, and like us.
Yeah, and if this is your first video of watching us have conversations, we have a number of videos up at this point, and you can go take a look at those. This is our first story video, so if you like the story, you'll probably just get conversations. But hey, you might like the content we're talking about over there, so give it a shot. All right, we'll see you next week.